The position of executive in residence was actually created when I joined the department back in 2007. And basically, what it involves is teaching, and I do teach a class each semester. It also involves working with our advisory council, which we have a very extensive advisory council, and I work with them a lot on just helping when they come to campus, help coordinate their visits, or just reach out to them, recruit new advisory council members, things like that. And I also try to work with our students in mentoring and doing things like taking the students to visit places like New York and Washington so that they can learn more about how the profession really works in the real world. Essentially, what executive in residence means is that I had an extensive career in the corporate world, and now I'm trying to bring that practical experience to bear in working with our students and faculty here at the college. Networking is as much about giving as it is about receiving. In other words, you don't build a network just so you can try to go to people for internships or jobs or references or whatever. You also build a network so that you bring something to the equation. And by that I mean I get notes from former students all the time that'll say, "Hey, Professor Martin, I thought you might have missed this article that I saw in the recent edition of Inc. magazine. Thought and let me know if you find this interesting, or I ran across this on a blog and I thought you might like to see it. Here's the link," that type of thing. So in other words, you're bringing things to the person that you're networking with. You're not always just expecting to get things. I think that's an important concept for students to think about. Staying in touch with the network of people that you get to know is really important. I advise students to get business cards so they have something to hand to somebody when they meet someone and they want to learn from them. Because when you hand somebody a business card, they're likely to hand you one back. That gives you their contact information. It gives you their all the information you need to stay in touch with them, and then add them to your list. The other thing that I encourage students to do is start their own blog, because it's a way that you can then, as you build your network, you can add things to your own blog and then periodically let your network know the kind of things you've been working on, the kind of things you've been thinking about. So all that's important. What our students sometimes forget is they have a unique perspective that's of real interest to people on our advisory council and other people who are maybe more experienced and have been in the profession longer, but they don't have the perspective that someone who's a college student has. So what we're always trying to understand better is, what are college students thinking about? What are they focused on? What's attracting their attention on the internet or elsewhere? That's useful to us to know. And so if you bring that kind of information to the person in your network, that's adding value. The thing I enjoy the most is mentoring students, and I try to do that in a lot of different ways. Obviously, in the classroom is one way, and I do participate in our mentor protege program, so I'm assigned an actual student that I work with for about a year to try to be a mentor to them. But I informally mentor a lot of other students, and I'm always happy to do that. When students ask me, "Could I just come in and ask you a few questions about something?" I always say, "Sure," or would you mind looking at my resume, or what kind of advice can you give me?" I enjoy doing that. On these student trips to DC and New York and elsewhere, that's a great opportunity to mentor students and to see them in the actual work environment, interacting with our advisory council members, things like that. I'm always paying attention and trying to find students who I think I could help in some way. So that's probably the part of the job I enjoy the most. In 2008, I developed my own syllabus for a class that I call Strategic Communication Management. It's basically managing the communication function. I try to put a lot of emphasis on things like ethics and why that's so important in how we not only communicate but how we run companies. And I spend a lot of time on, I would call it earning your seat at the table, or what it takes to really be part of the management team and be making a contribution that's equivalent to that of the finance person or the information technology person or the human resources person. That the role that we play is becoming increasingly valued within companies, and I like to share with students what that means for their future. I put name tags, name plates in front of every student, and the reason I do that is I want to learn their names, but I also want them to learn each other's names and to treat each other as peers and colleagues. And so it's a little more like a business school environment maybe than some other courses, but I really do try to encourage interaction. It accounts for 20% of the grade participation, and I do a lot of questioning of the students, not just talking to them, but talking with them really during the course.